What's going on? We are back for another pro wrestling content here on the Anthony Blackwell Jr. YouTube channel.
Pro wrestling content goes Hollywood.
Goes Hollywood. I love that. We do. Philly Mike may join us at some point tonight. No Precious tonight. But BP says he's been working on a deal backstage. He's been talking to some people, and he said he brought in someone who I feel like it would be a good guest for me. Like you said, I really enjoy this guy. We've done doing commentary for a while. I feel BP has a really good idea of the talent I like and people I really put over. So I'm really excited to see who this guest is going to be.
Absolutely. I know you are, as am I, a big fan of the Sanctuary.
Yeah.
And if there was one person who's a regular at the Sanctuary who you would want to have on this program,
the answer wrestling with?
Yeah, the answer is fairly obvious.
Oh, you got Schultz on here? Hawthorne, you got Hawthorne. Sweet.
Yeah, it's crispy. It's crispy.
Jesus Christ, what are you doing to me? It's bad enough I have Ricky Price at the end of the month. Now you bring Crispy in here?
The honor roll needs representation on this show. Precious, unavailable. Vince Torres, unavailable. Zach Xander, unavailable. But who's here to save the day? The one and only Crispy.
All right, we'll make do. We'll make do with what we got.
Make do. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
Welcome to the stream, Crispy. All jokes aside, Crispy has been an absolute all-star when it comes to this channel and some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. If you have explored or been to our Discord, it's been absolutely insane. Crispy's been a huge part of that and updating it. But so yes, all joking aside, I love me, Crispy.
By the way,
world champion at Sanctuary.
So thank you for saying that, because any guest we could from the Sanctuary. J.S. Hawthorne, so that's a big F you to Mr. John Patrick Trotsky. That's a big F you to Mr. Ace.
Oh my God, could you imagine having Trotsky on here to talk wrestling with us?
That would be amazing.
Break down every little thing.
Oh my God, actually, it's not a bad idea. One night we might have to call in the reserves. First off, we'd have to get probably Trotsky to watch.
Yeah, well, who has to be current day wrestling? It could be anything.
He did watch the Rumble.
Did he?
So, yeah.
Interesting. So we're going to cover WrestleMania 39. WrestleMania Goes Hollywood tonight. Very interesting card. A lot of developing things. Before we jump right into it, though, and I know I said behind the stage, we're going to jump right into it. Did you watch? How much Collective did you watch?
I watched my fair share. I watched most of Blood. I watched all Bloodsport in pieces. I watched the DDT show, the DDT versus GCW show.
Oh my God.
See, I already knew about DDT. This was not surprising to me.
What was your match?
Well, I know you loved the what do they call the pheromones?
Pheromones and pussy was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Every year, Effie and Ali just make me fall in love with them even more.
I've been in on Danshoko Dino for a long time. Do you know what that translates to in Japanese?
No.
It literally just translates to homosexual Dino, which is his entire shtick. Is it's just working ways to have men's faces inserted into his ass in as many creative ways as possible, or women's faces in the case of that match. Because Ali catches the unfortunate recipient. There.
The funny thing is, Ali was like the straight person, the straight edge person the whole time. Like, we are here to wrestle, guys. Like, just for her to be like playing the straight man was.
Until she finally has enough, and then the shorts come off too. Yeah.
What a great card. I watched most of day one, most of day two, and then Life, and then everything else caught me. So I am a little behind. I didn't get to see
For the Culture was really fun.
I did watch For the Culture. Darius Carter, great showing.
Yeah, big win. Keita Murray got a win on Effie's Big Gay Brunch. JC Storm was there on For the Culture.
The girl who JC was wrestling in that not Mercedes, Maserati.
Okay.
She was just recently at the CFU show.
Oh, nice.
I got to meet her. She's really nice. Yeah.
There's somebody that played into Joey Janela's Spring Break was a lot of fun. It's not the same without the clusterfuck. I think they slipped up by not doing the clusterfuck. I don't know if they didn't have enough people. They didn't want to fly people into LA.
Deppen and Homicide had a good match.
Deppen and Homicide had a tag team match.
Yeah,
I forget the person's name from DDT that was the main guy on the team, and then it was Jun Akiyama. I don't know why I couldn't think of Jun Akiyama's name.
Yeah.
That was DDT versus GCW show. And then Tony Deppen also had a really great match with Negro Casas at the World on Lucha.
And just real quick for behind the scenes, me and Brian both enjoying our Pilgrim Tony Deppen beers. There they are.
My lighting is not great, but yeah, that's the Red John checked amber pilsner.
I have water.
Yeah. Grow up, Crispy. Jesus.
Like a true nerds, these honor society nerds.
Wait. It's flavored water, so
yeah.
Nerd. He would do apple juice, but that's Precious's thing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna blow up Precious's cover by saying who I saw Pilgrim last Thursday.
Yeah. So another thing too, if you guys I can't really get into much detail about it. And I normally don't like this, but if you can right now, in the links below are our merchandise links as well as Patreon and ways to support the podcast. If you can, awesome. If you can't, I understand. But I do have something possibly coming up that is pretty huge for me. And any way that merchandise gets sold or I can make a couple bucks would help that tremendously. It's not the end all be all. If I don't, I will find my own ways to raise the money for it. But any funds right now would be very helpful towards this. I can't really get into it. I really don't want to make any announcements or anything, but it's pretty crazy.
He has an offer to be the pheromones fluffer, and he can't pass it up.
I'm going to Japan, and I'm part
tickets
of the
to
pheromones.
Japan ain't cheap. Yeah, that's right.
So any merchandise, if you guys want to grab it, our Patreon support would be huge right now. Also links below for Philly Mike. I didn't put Crispy's links in. He was a last minute replacement. I didn't know he was coming. BP booked it. But Crispy, we'll plug him at the end.
Well, why
also,
don't we get
Murder
we'll do it at the end.
Yeah, Murder My Dude links are also at the very bottom too for you guys to go check out, and that's BP's thing. So let's get into Mania 39, Hollywood, red carpet. Let's do it.
So we start off with the usual fanfare, the usual hullabaloo, America the Beautiful. I don't remember who exactly did America the Beautiful. Did a good job.
It wasn't Rockin' Rebel. We don't care.
Rockin' Robin. It definitely was not Rockin' Rebel. Very much dead. Very much dead. But still, being dead would have probably given just as much effort as John Cena, who was in our opening match against Austin Theory for the United States title. The very cool thing here is John Cena does come out with a bunch of kids from the Make-A-Wish Foundation who all got to come out in the aisle with him. Or they out on the
watched
stage
him lose.
Oh no, they went to the back. What I'm hoping they did is I'm hoping they had an alternate thing they filmed at the Performance Center where Cena wins, and then they just deep faked it into like a shot of the live WrestleMania crowd.
You bring a stage full of Make-A-Wish kids, and then he loses in front of them.
Well, when I'm watching, I'm like, Theory's probably winning this thing. Why are they bringing out the Make-A-Wish kids? Is Cena going to turn heel? Like, I would have won if it wasn't for those Make-A-Wish kids. I was out all night partying with the Make-A-Wish kids the night before, painting the town red.
Could that be a great heel turn for Cena? So here's we're just doing the new version of WWE now. If we don't like something, we say that was Vince booking. So
yeah, if it was bad, it was Vince. If it was good, it was Triple H.
Yeah,
Triple H can do no wrong, and Vince can do no right.
Yeah, that was a Vince booking. He said
Vince
get the kids out there.
It's a classic John Cena match.
Yeah,
literally is
that the last we see John Cena?
No, he'll probably do something.
No, I don't think
I
so.
know he's doing like some A&E show, like a reality show about like up and comers or something like that. People trying to get into WWE, trying to break through. But no, I'm sure he'll be back at some point.
He'll definitely be back.
Yeah.
If nothing else, he'll do the Hall of Fame, maybe even next year. But this is followed by a Triple H match. Triple H gets a chance to book something next. It's a four-way tag. The Street Profits defeating Braun Strowman and Ricochet, the Alpha Academy, the Viking Raiders, when I believe Ford pinned, I want to say Gable, but I don't remember.
Yes.
I just assume Gable got pinned.
I just watched this. I don't remember.
I will say this though, for a match that didn't care about going into it, they killed it. It was very entertaining, fun match to watch.
Yeah, it was like a great SmackDown match. Like if you were to watch SmackDown, you'd be like, that was probably the best match of the night. It was a lot of fun. Not a lot of not a lot of story, but how much story can you get when it's a 4-way tag and they only get 8.5 minutes? How much story can you really have?
And real quick, Austin Theory did win by some dirty, but with a low blow.
Yeah.
We didn't really cover that.
He did tap out though, so he technically.
Yeah, they did the bump and the tap out and
so like Cena technically beat him, but Braun Strowman on the top ropes. Yikes! Yeah.
And then the one of my favorite spots is he's doing the Strowman Express around the ring, knocking everybody down.
Yeah.
And then Angelo Dawkins gets it's usually Ford that gets the Montez that gets the big spot for the Street Profits, but he just Dawkins just levels Strowman out of nowhere.
Yeah,
shades of Monty Brown with the pounce.
Yeah, it was fun. Next matchup here.
Next match was Seth Rollins and Logan Paul. Logan Paul is out with his Prime Energy mascot, which turns out I swore I thought it was R-Truth. I'm not part of the youths anymore. I'm an old man.
Part of the youth. I'm not hip. I'm cool.
I'm not with it. I'm not hip.
What was that, Dr. Evil?
I don't do the Macarena. I don't know where the whoop there it is. I'm not down with OPP.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know who KSI is either.
So when they took that cap off, I'm like, is that R-Truth? And it sounds somewhat racist, but I was like, is that R-Truth?
I do have to say, giving Logan a live mic during his entrance was like one of the greatest things ever. Like it was so funny, like having him come down like, it's my birthday.
They gave him the Shawn Michaels entrance.
Yeah. Which I guess some people were anytime anybody is suspended on wires in WWE now, people are going to get a little uncomfortable.
Listen, I think we have ziplining pretty down pat.
Yeah.
Like, you can go ziplining anywhere in the world. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Steven Chambers in the chat here thought it could be Jake Paul. That's what I thought initially. I thought, I don't know enough about Jake Paul.
Jake's a big dude. He's pretty. Yeah.
I did see that fight with him and Fury and like one of his other ones. I think I saw him when he beat up the basketball player Nate Robinson.
Oh, Nate Robinson. Yeah.
But yeah. It was KSI. That was the one thing that was a little off because KSI was clearly on the table. And then Logan looked and jumped, but it was fine. It was wrestling.
It was fun. It was a fun spot.
Fun match. Good for Seth Rollins. This is his first WrestleMania win since he beat Lesnar at 35. So
yeah,
he was due.
Long time. Yeah. But overall so far, card's great. Night one, we're having a good time.
Night one was a good time. Night one was a very good time.
Also, Logan Paul with the Shawn Michaels entrance, been trained by Sean. Essentially, Sean's been his head trainer.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
One of the people said, "Oh, Logan Paul's killing it," and Morrison said, "Yeah, anyone can kill it if they have a good work ethic, as athletic as he is, and gets trained every single day by Shawn Michaels."
Well, there's some people in NXT. We don't know what their work ethic is, but there's some people in NXT that might.
Well, no, Sean is like, that's like Sean's only job right now. Like Sean's booking and stuff and doing that, but like he's literally like Logan's project.
Maybe you should find some other jobs. Get that booking to somebody else.
I think Logan's like made for wrestling.
He is. He's a great. Logan Paul is such a naturally good wrestler.
Graves, let me know if you want to jump in on this, man. Let me know. Send me a link. We'll have you hop in. But overall fun match.
Yeah, so far so good. The John Cena thing was a little flat. It was a little paint by numbers, but so far so good.
It was John Cena. It was exactly what we were expecting, and it wasn't terrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
The same thing I would say for the next match, a 6-woman tag where Trish Stratus, Lita, and Becky Lynch defeat Damage Control by pinfall.
Not horrible match, but definitely the weakest of the night so far.
The MVP of this match, by the way, by a mile, is Trish's top because that thing looked like it was holding on for dear life. Yeah. That thing looked like it was fighting a battle with gravity. It was going to lose any second, and it held on.
Yeah. Give it up for the costume department.
And now,
go ahead.
Oh no! I was going to move on. So go ahead. If you got something to say about this,
no, you go ahead. There's really nothing else in that match I could add.
Yeah, I don't.
Now this show is going to kick in the high gear. Now we're talking about. Now we're going to get good. Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio in the Battle of Mysterio is brought to you by Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Because when I think of bitter family feuds where a son hates his father, I want to buy some Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yes.
That was a weird sponsor for that.
Mysterio's blood feud leads to prison, leads to his sending his son to jail. Brought to you by Cinnamon Toast Crunch, in case you can see.
And then the Cinemoji at ringside was NXT's Sol Ruka, the one that does that cool flip into like a backflip into a stunner.
They call her female Kofi, essentially.
Yeah, she was the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, the Cinemoji. That was her.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So yeah, Dominic's entrance, Steven Chambers in the chat, 100%.
Really great.
It's so funny because everybody wanted Dom to come out in a lowrider. And then you hear sirens, you're like, Scott Steiner? The good Steiner's coming?
Is there a good Steiner?
If there is, it's Scott. People like Scott. People hated Scott for a while. People kind of like him now. Definitely more than his brother. And so yeah, there's the sirens and the police wagon comes out and they're leading Dom out in cuffs. He's got the cops on either side of him. He puts that mask on and you look at his chin and you're like, oh yeah, it is Ray's kid, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
And great entrance. Just the police escort is great. And then you get the lowrider. Ray comes out with Snoop. Comes out the gin and juice, which was fun.
Well, Eddie's music first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and the match itself held up. This is a match
with a great Muda inspired mask.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and Rey Mysterio, if he had any life left in him, if he had any blood left in him, he was going to have a great match here, and he delivered. Yeah. This is something Ray. This is the reason Ray is still wrestling. Ray now is wrestling to cement his son's legacy. And it's starting to work. It's starting to come together now. Dominic is really finding himself in the ring as a character. It's starting to come together. And he was good here. He held his own. Obviously, Ray's the one kind of driving the car. Ray's the vet. Ray is the one that's going to really make sure everything works out well. Great thing where he throws a drink on Dominic, pronouns, pal. Dominic throws a drink on his sister. His mom slaps him. And it just... just the perfect blend. This is the perfect blend of sports entertainment and wrestling. Yeah. Sometimes you get that mixture. If you get too much sports entertainment, you get a little silly, and then you get too much wrestling and it might be a little dry. This was just enough of both, and it worked out perfectly.
And this is one of these matches too that there's going to be a little bit of a trend when it comes to maybe this and another match R2 on this card where you're expecting Mania to be the closure. You're expecting Mania to be the end of the chapter. You're expecting this to be, but then we also we covered WrestleMania 29, and some of those Manias had like a 3-year stretch where the same matches happened all 3 years. This is one of those Manias that look like the booking was, we're going to add more to the story, and it's not over. So you're not getting your conclusion. Ray gets the win, but it also looks like we're setting up Bad Bunny at Backlash in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it does look like it's going to be Ray and Bad Bunny against Dominic and Damian Priest in Backlash in Puerto Rico, which is huge. Yeah. And that's something that's a smart idea. Local draws. I know we're going to focus on WrestleMania and talk about other news later, but AEW had that big announcement yesterday of they're going to do All In Wembley Stadium.
Stadium.
That's a big stadium. One of the genuine largest gate or the largest crowd WWE ever had, larger for real than WrestleMania 3, was at Wembley Stadium for SummerSlam 92. That thing can pack in like 80,000 people, maybe less now. Jesus. When you put it up stages and everything. So they're going to have to load that card up.
I think internationally it'll do well.
Yeah.
If AEW tried to book a stadium in America, I don't think they'd be able to do it.
Depends on the size of the stadium. Maybe a ballpark, maybe something like a 40,000 seater or a soccer stadium they could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could probably fill up like, I'm thinking like, I don't know what it's called now. It used to be PPL Park, Talent Energy Stadium. The one the Philadelphia Union play, and we saw it going over the Commodore Barry Bridge going to the Monster Factory. Yeah. They could probably fill that stadium. That stadium maybe seats 25,000 people.
And I know we're talking about Mania here, but one thing I will give credit for AEW here with is AEW now has given 2 major pay-per-views, major shows, with Forbidden Door going to Canada, and now this show going to UK.
So yeah, Money in the Bank's going to be in London too.
But I mean, this would be like if they were going to put one of their big 4 and stick it in another. Yeah.
Well, they did do SummerSlam. London has one. The reason a lot of people won't do that, and AEW didn't do that either. All Out is still happening. It's happening like a week later or 2 weeks later, probably in Chicago.
Yeah.
So All In is just an extra one. It's not like it's going to be All In and then All Out. It's not replacing All Out.
And then you Shake It All About is the next show.
Yeah, AEW Hokey Pokey.
Yeah.
And then they're going to sign Bray Wyatt, and that's going to be AEW Hocus Pocus.
There might be some names available coming up.
And I'm going to disappear. Well, what I thought, giving some rumors, like what could be a good match to sell that show at Wembley Stadium. How about this for a main event? How about MJF defending that AEW World title against Drew Galloway?
That's what I'm kind of thinking as well. His contract ends in July.
It does.
And he essentially said he is not re-signing.
There you go. Maybe that's the way it's going to go.
Do you think they pull the trigger on him like WWE didn't do at Clash of Castle?
It would be. I think there'd be a lot of upset people if they had him come in and a month later win the title, unless it's something like you do that for the hometown prop and then MJF wins it back at All Out like 2 weeks later. Yeah. That I think people will be okay with.
Yeah.
Do a little hot shot, quick switch title reign.
I haven't done that before recently. This
is a perfect time to hot shot a title just because WWE, we'll get to it later, seems to be hard committed on long title reigns right now. So
yeah,
except for this one, mainly in the men's division, maybe on the SmackDown centric, mainly on the SmackDown centric titles. Well, I think you're going to see Austin Theory have that U.S. title for a while too. Mm-hmm. But our next match is for the SmackDown Women's title. The Royal Rumble winner Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair.
What a great match!
Excellent match. Everything it should have been. And a fitting, and I know she's beaten Asuka at WrestleMania for that title before, but it didn't really have that feeling of being a big deal at that point. It really felt like, all right, this is Rhea's division now. Rhea's the one.
Yeah. I said going into this card, I said this is going to be the show stealer, and I wasn't like, listen, I think the main events were both amazing. But I think the main events were amazing because of the false finishes and the story that led up to both matches made them that amazing. But if you take away the stories and the matches and just and sell it for what the match was, I think Rhea and Charlotte tore the house
such
down.
A great match.
There may have been one match I liked a little better, but yeah, this was excellent. This was high end.
So then we have Charlotte getting planted face first, which people are thinking that takes away from the match, but you go watch them in Japan when they get dropped on their neck all the time because the move looks crazy. Like if that was Kenny and Ospreay and they dropped each other on each other's face like that, they'd be like, they're killing each other. This is amazing. But then you look at like the two women doing it, like, what a botch. I'm not saying that's what Steven's saying, but that's how people are assimilating to it. I'm like, no, like that, like sometimes when a move does get kind of screwed up like that, but like, bro, it's a war. They're killing each other. You know what I mean?
I know we can bring up comments on this thing, but is there a pin function? Can we pin comments to the screen?
You can.
We just make that a permanent fixture.
Yeah, so on the you could hit star on it.
Joke's going way over his head.
I agree with it. I don't hit it at all.
But like Charlotte looked like she was about to get killed like almost like around 3 times that match with the way she fell and planted herself. It was God.
Right on her face.
Right on her face.
And then ripped her nose apart with it.
Yeah, didn't she cut her nose?
She got a brush burn. Yeah, she got a brush burn on her nose from the mat.
Yeah. And then for people saying that she's selfish and she's not there for everybody else, at the very end you can tell she was very, very clearly happy about who won that match and that the title's in good hands with Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, Judgment Day brings home some titles.
Yeah.
Judgment Day gets a win. A win.
A
win.
A win.
Yeah.
So then we have the host of WrestleMania, The Miz, and his de facto co-host Snoop Dogg, even though they didn't really advertise that. They're out, and they have a little surprise that The Miz is going to have a match after all at WrestleMania. At least one, maybe upwards of 3 matches at WrestleMania. And this one it's a big surprise because Pat McAfee is back. Pat McAfee, this was a tip-off because the news didn't break yesterday. Or the news didn't break until the day after this, until the day of the second night of WrestleMania. But this was a good tip-off that, maybe they're not selling to the Saudis after all. Because that was the big rumor that Pat McAfee was going to keep his distance from WWE because he didn't want to be associated with the company if they sold to the Saudi investment fund.
Good for Pat.
But he's back here, and
here's a quick nod at the tip of the cap here. You know, as someone who I give great respect to Pat McAfee, both kickers, both punters in our days, both podcasters, and both people who go into the wrestling business for the love of the wrestling business, but fucking take our brands first, and we're not going to work for a company if you put yourself in shitty situations, and we'll walk away if need be.
Yeah, there you go.
Love me some Pat McAfee.
McAfee's a lot of fun. Gets the win over the Miz. Miz kind of like, I wasn't ready. He's wrestling in what he calls a $10,000 suit. The very glittery suit reminded me of Bobby Heenan's old jacket. If it would have had a star on the back that said the Brainer, and I think it said Bobby Heenan on the star. That's what it kind of reminded me of. And then we have our main event. And I know there was some debate on whether this should be the main event or Rhea and Charlotte. And Rhea and Charlotte definitely had a main event caliber match, but I think the storyline, this had to be the main event, the emotional peak. The hottest storyline of the year for WWE was Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, and it got its just desserts here. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn challenging for the WWE Tag Team titles against the Usos, and a lot of back and forth, a lot of drama. I've seen better Owens and Zayn tag matches. I've seen better Usos tag matches, but the story here really drives it and really drives
finishes, it. Man, they had people hooked.
The falsies were really good, yeah.
Because every time we're so used to the Bloodline cheating to win, and you're like, here it is, it's over. 1D, 1, 2, what? Just no. They did a great job.
And that reminds me, the kick out on the 1D. Somebody said another thing they could do for this Wembley Stadium show, if they do Omega and Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay maybe wins the IWGP US title back in England, where he's a gigantic star. Is this the perfect time where Kenny lets somebody kick out of the One-Winged Angel?
Oh. Well,
that stadium would explode.
Yeah, that'd be a cool moment. And like with the whole, like, he's been giving him shit for using his move and stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be dope.
And this match was incredible.
And would it be shocking? Because, I mean, when they wrestled last time, they did pretty much everything but shoot each other with bazookas and kicked out of everything. So,
why not?
Kicking a One-Winged Angel isn't really special.
Zack Sabre Jr. for Wembley. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson for Wembley for being picky, please.
Or Forbidden Door.
Wembley. No, Wembley. Sabre's another UK guy. Sabre gets maybe no. I wouldn't want it to be a rematch in Wembley. Contrary to popular opinion, rematches don't always build heat. Let's put that in our pockets. Put it in our pockets. Just save it for later. Sometimes the right time for the babyface to win is the first time. Sometimes, not always. Not always. We'll get there. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
I will say this: isn't this like I think Sammy was the one who took the 1D, right? If I'm
Kevin,
I believe.
Kevin?
Oh, was it
Kevin?
Was it?
I believe it was Kevin.
I thought it was Sammy.
I thought it was Sammy too. Like,
I haven't watched the match since it happened, so I'm gonna defer.
Yeah,
I think it was Kevin.
Anyways, one of the first people to kick out of the 1D. Actually, because it was the one and done. Everyone after they did that, everyone got pinned.
Yeah,
and like they came in and was like, "Oh, it's almost done. It's done. They just did it," and he kicked out after the 2 count. So it was Kevin.
Okay, it was Kevin. There we go. Confirmed. It reminds me of that old story with Scott Hall and the Dudley Boys with the 3D. When Scott Hall came back with the NWO and Hall, Nash, and Hogan came back in 2002, and Scott Hall comes up to the.
I just read here. It was Sammy.
Oh,
Sammy.
Whatever. Scott Hall comes up to the Dudleys. And he's like, "I love your finish. I can't wait to kick out of it." That's like so great. It's so awful, but it's so great at the same time. So that's a very fitting emotional at the night one with Sammy hitting Jey Uso with 3 haluva kicks. I thought he was going to do the "I'm sorry, I love you" before the last haluva kick, but he didn't do it. But especially for some of the older indie wrestling fans, people that watched Kevin Steen and Sammy's good friend El Generico and Ring of Honor or PWG or something like that.
They had PWG on their gear.
Yeah. So
they
had
Super Dragon credit stuff. A lot of their early career to LA and PWG, and that they said this is the city that essentially made them. So for them to headline Mania, Sammy doing it after a comedy spot, and Kevin doing it after hosting it last year and closing out the night with Austin. Mm-hmm. It was great for them. I love those two to death. They're probably 2 of my 3 favorite wrestlers in professional wrestling right now, and couldn't have been happier.
Yeah, fitting end the night one.
Yeah,
fitting end the night one.
Night one. It's
close.
I always try to protect really high scores, but that's a 9, if not a 9, and 8.75. It's about as close as you're going to get to a perfect score. It was really
letter grade. That is a solid A.
Yeah,
that is if it's like an S tier thing, probably like an A+ tier, maybe low S tier.
Yeah.
I know we're talking about maybe doing a WrestleMania tier list, and if it was just night one for me, this would be like an either high A, low S tier.
I said in our group chat, I said without even seeing night 2, night 1 was a great card.
Yeah, and then night 2 happened.
Then night 2 happened. Well, let's get into night 2.
and it starts good.
Well, here's what we're saying, right? Night 1, who booked it?
Oh, Triple H.
Triple H.
Except for a few things here and there were Vince, but yeah, Triple H. Yeah. And then Vince said, "It's my turn, pal.
Now it's my show."
Because anything bad that was booked in here couldn't have possibly been Triple H. No. What are you talking about?
Are you high? Triple H, bad booking? Come on.
Don't you remember the great booking in NXT? I mean, the matches were great, but the booking was the booking wasn't always good. Matches were, talent acquisitions were, booking was not always a strong point.
So the only thing with night 1 that I was like, man, I feel like booking wise for me, I would have went Dom beats Ray. That's the only thing I probably would have changed.
I think that story ends with Dom beating Ray, so I think just for the moment that one was okay.
Yeah. I don't think they're not ending the story anytime soon between Dom and Ray.
No, they seem like it. Well, the whole thing that I was speculating in my brain was thinking is after Mania, Triple H is officially going to have his storylines, his thing, and he's going to start fresh and do his own thing after Mania. And then Mania happened, and then Dom and Ray are still doing a thing. So, there we go.
No, I think when you see this Dom Ray storyline, and you might see Ray end. It may end with Dom taking Ray's mask and then Ray walking off to into the sunset.
Agreed.
I think Ray is there to elevate Dom throughout his whole career and to get him up to that status of like a great wrestler. And we've seen Dom progress from when he first came in to now, and he's like great.
Yeah. Yeah. The only reason Ray came back after that stupid eye for an eye thing they did during the pandemic, and when he was gone for a while, like that was going to be his write-off. His contract ended. He didn't re-sign, and then he re-signed because that's when they were like, okay, we're going to use Dom. And literally the SummerSlam a few months after that was Dom against Seth Rollins.
Yep.
Dom's debut was on pay-per-view against Seth Rollins.
Yeah, crazy.
So night 2, we have... oh, by the way, one of the things we didn't mention, night 1 is when they do the commercials for WrestleMania next year in Philadelphia. Fun fact, the night of WrestleMania night 1, Philadelphia was under a tornado watch. So imagine if that WrestleMania was in Philadelphia.
Who sings real quick? What's the opening music? Like the this one was
Hollywood Swinging.
Hollywood Swinging. What's the song for next year?
You could go a bunch of ways.
There's only one in my mind.
What's that?
Motown Philly, baby.
Well, see, I was at the first WrestleMania in Philadelphia, WrestleMania 15. And Boyz II Men sang America the Beautiful on that show.
And they should sing it again this year. But the opening song, the one that you hear all night long, should be Motown Philly.
I can think of a few other ones.
They're all wrong. Unless it's Will Smith.
Yeah. Maybe he can be the host.
Yeah. Who does Will Smith smack at WrestleMania?
Oh, The Miz. Obviously,
The Miz. 100%.
Gotta be The Miz.
Do you think they could talk him into doing it?
No.
They're like, Will, we need you to go out and slap The Miz. It's like, fuck you guys.
Not happening. Of course you have to curse after you put a question from Gavin up on the screen.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Hi, Mr. Anthony, Mr. Brian, and Chris P. Do you think Dominic will lose momentum if they take Rhea away from him as mommy?
Before WrestleMania, I would have said yes. But I think Dom's a made guy now.
I think he can stand on his own now. Yeah.
I think he can. And it's not like they're locking people in the shows. That Dom showed up on SmackDown. I'm sure Rhea will. It seems like they might even be slowly working toward him. By slowly, I mean maybe SummerSlam, unifying the women's titles. They kind of teased that the night after. But I think Dom will be okay. Dom's in a great spot for this show because that might be the main event. That in Puerto Rico, the main event of Backlash might be Rey and Bad Bunny against Dom and Priest. In that building, Bad Bunny is such a huge star. Just a huge star in general, but especially to the Latin community, especially to the Puerto Rican community, especially in Puerto Rico. Yeah. That is a big deal if that's the match. And it certainly seems like it will be.
Absolutely.
But now I'm trying to think of like things that you could do for the theme for WrestleMania. You could do, well, the first one that sprung into mind was Philadelphia Freedom by Elton John.
Yeah, but it has to be someone from Philly.
All right, Lil Dicky. You can do Lil Uzi Vert was there. Lil Uzi Vert was on night one.
Yeah.
You can do the Roots. There's a million songs by the Roots you could use. The Roots would be my choice for America the Beautiful.
Yeah, but I want the song. I want like
if I'm gonna make a legit prediction for the song "The Fire" by the Roots, it's a great motivational pump up song.
Okay.
The Fire by the Roots.
If it's not Motown Philly, I'm boycotting. I'm not going.
Well, see, that would be great for in between SummerSlam and WrestleMania because SummerSlam's in Detroit. So you play that at SummerSlam because that's in Motown and it's going to Philly. Yeah, that's when you play Motown Philly. Yeah, they thought of everything, didn't they?
Yeah, they're ahead of the game. All right, night two. Let's start the show off great. Let's start it off with a match that I think you can get two people in there and shock the world.
Brock Lesnar and Omos.
I had high expectations for this match. I'm not gonna lie. Did? I did. I thought we were gonna get a little more storytelling. I thought there'd be more to why the match ended a certain way. I thought we were gonna get a progression. I still think
why
4 big men. It was a good big man match. But
it was fine. It was exactly what I thought it would be.
Firecracker. It just went off, and then it done.
It was like Brock throws around the big. No, Brock has his good matches with little guys. Brock has this kind of match with a big guy.
But almost had a decent match with Braun. Like it was better than I expected it to be.
Yeah, but this is the Brock against a big guy match. Yeah. Brock, if you want Brock to put on like a banger, if you want Brock to put on a great match, you got to put him with like a little guy. You got to put him Brock like Montez Ford would be good. Yeah. Brock's best matches in this run were like against Ricochet. Well, the one with Roman, that's how you do it. Just two guys who are really good to just beat the hell out of each other. The first Brock Roman match at 31 was great. I think the only like bigger guy right now that he hasn't gone against already that could give Brock a great match is Gunther.
Yeah.
Because Gunther could have a great match with literally anybody.
Yep.
And then, not everybody was a fan of Brock and Omos. That is the one time, and I know you don't like when he's brought up. That is the one time I always think of Jim Cornette is he'll call him almost because he's almost a wrestler.
I mean, He's like what, 7 foot something? How
He's
7'3". He's a legit 7'3", I believe.
How much could he do in the ring, like legitimately? Like he can't really do much besides be that big man.
Yeah. Well, didn't he do a kick once? Like he did like a spin kick, didn't he?
I don't remember.
He did a shooting star press.
Wait,
the gainer.
Imagine him kicking you. Jesus Christ.
The match would be done.
Your life would be done.
It'd literally be done.
So then we move on to the women's Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Showcase, which saw Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler with their cool Ryu and Ken cosplay, defeating Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya and Shotzi, and Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville.
Yeah.
It was a SmackDown match. If it would have been a SmackDown, I'd be like, okay, that was a match.
I thought everybody would have seen night 1, and I thought night 2 would have elevated people to go out there and put some heat on, and then it just kind of never took off.
It's Vince's booking.
Yeah, it was that damn Vince. They're like, we should have a good match. And Vince said, no, I want you to have a bad match.
Like I would have liked Chelsea Green to win this if she was with Carmella.
Ronda was not losing that match.
Yeah,
Ronda was not losing that match.
Yeah. And then here we go. We're going to have a Ronda Shayna tag team feud that's probably going to last a long time.
Maybe. We'll see.
Who is a viable tag team that they would lose to?
Well, I know they're doing Becky and Lita, the tag champs now. They'll probably beat Becky and Lita. What if a lot of this stuff that is being thrown out there is a smoke screen? And a lot of the discontent you're hearing on social media is a bit of a smoke screen. And somebody's deal was a very short-term deal and it's coming up soon. What if the big feud for the women's tag title is going to be Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler against Bayley and Sasha Banks? Just putting it out there.
Well, looks like Naomi look like she's looking at an ROH run.
Okay.
She was front. They put her front row in the crowd during the Athena match.
Did they? I actually didn't
Naomi
see.
sat front row and just stared at Naomi. Naomi just stared at Athena the whole time.
Interesting.
Yep, they put her front row hard cam.
I'm all for that match. That sounds great. I know there's a match that it was taped, I think, on last night post the AEW show for Ring of Honor. That sounds like a fun one if you have Honor Club. I know they're doing Willow Nightingale and Notorious Mimi on Ring of Honor.
That's gonna be fun.
That should be a fun one. So our next match, speaking of fun ones, this is neck and neck as far as like my favorite matches of both nights of the show. It's really down to 3, and I'm not really breaking any ground there. It's really down to 4 because I really love that Ray Dom match, and I really love the tag team match, the main event of night 1. I really loved Rhea and Charlotte, and this was the other match I really loved, and it was Gunther, who might be my favorite wrestler on the WWE active roster right now, defeating Sheamus and Drew McIntyre to retain the Intercontinental title, and everybody was like, "Oh, it really feels like Sheamus," but I know people are talking about a certain title run we'll talk about later reaching 1,000 days. Like, who cares about 1,000 days? Like, there's been a bunch of people who have been champion for 1,000 days. Who gives a damn? But the one thing I think is actually significant, I think it's going to happen, is I think now we are going to really, really move toward Gunther breaking the Honky Tonk Man's record and being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion.
It is a lot cooler to say that Gunther did it than the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah, who's the longest reigning world champion? Bruno Sammartino. Who's the longest reigning tag team champions?
Which is the work rate title.
Yeah, the worker. Yeah, they call it the workers title. Who's the greatest champion of the worker title? The Honky Tonk Man.
By the way, the Honky Tonk Man, if anyone's listening and you're local, is the only figure I need to complete my series of all the Walmart exclusive WWE superstars. So if you're in a Walmart and you see Honky Tonk Man, please, if we live close to each other, grab it for me. It's the only one I need.
And I don't want to make it sound like I'm crapping on the Honky Tonk Man. The Honky Tonk Man was goddamn great. But we're talking about like the work rate title, like the Ricky Steamboat, Randy Savage, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart title. Honky Tonk Man was a great character. He was if it was the character title, like, yeah, Honky Tonk Man was champion forever. Like, yeah, right on.
Yeah.
It was the Intercontinental title.
The only thing with this match that was a little bit of a turnoff for me is I felt like the story was more about Drew and Sheamus than it was Gunther. And there was a huge section of that match where Gunther just rolled out of the ring and they worked. And he snuck in and stole the win, which is like,
and that's fine. No, he didn't steal the win. He powerbombed one of them with the other one. That's not true. Stealing the win.
Yeah. But he let them two kill each other. Then he came in and killed them both.
If I beat you with Crispy, I earned the win. If I take Crispy and beat you over the head with him, I've earned it.
But he is the ring general, so that was the smart thing to do. Let them tear each other apart, come in the ring, and finish up business.
We talk about all the time the backstage stuff, right? So like you go to a show and you're the guy who does a certain amount of things that the promoter likes. You're going to get opportunities. You're going to get better bookings. You're going to get ways to move up through the company. Kevin Owens essentially staying with the company granted him his Stone Cold spot, not leaving and jumping ship like everybody else did. And then this match, Gunther, them saying, yo, you're a little chubby, we don't like your look, and then him transforming himself is 100%. We're going to reward you with the longest rating IC title run.
And now, if you don't count the greatest Royal Rumble, he's the longest time in the Royal Rumble too.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. They are really rewarding him for his extra work he put in.
And we don't know what's going to happen. Let's just table that we'll table this. The next thing I was going to say till the end of this show.
With Drew?
No, with Gunther. And something they were talking about Gunther possibly being a challenger for somebody if somebody else won a title.
Yeah, I thought Gunther lost tonight and he moved on to a bigger title picture. But
I think that may happen. Well, who knows?
That was my prediction. I was like,
all right. And once again, Drew's contract ending in July. And then in a couple months, if his contract is up and he doesn't resign, boy, that Wembley Stadium looks like a good place for Drew McIntyre to show up.
Drew Galloway.
Excuse me. Show up. Drew Wembley.
No, it would be Drew Galloway. It would be Drew Galloway for sure.
Ooh, if he shows up there.
Yeah, that would
Sabres there and Ospreay are somehow there.
That would be a way to help pack a stadium. If your top three matches are Drew Galloway and MJF for the title, Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay for the IWGP US title, and Bryan Danielson against Zack Sabre Jr., you're going a long way to packing that stadium. You're going a long way. Although some people say the match they could really pack it would be, if they're willing to do business, the Elite against FTR and CM Punk. Might be another way to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right, next match.
Next match is for the Raw Women's title.
By the way, got a good amount of people watching here. Make sure you hit those likes, thumbs ups, and if you haven't already, share the stream out because we're getting really close to that 700 mark. And let's get some fun shit.
So then we have the women's title on the line. Bianca Belair defending against Asuka. Two really cool entrances here. Bianca had she had a contortionist whose mother had passed away. Unfortunately, that was a really cool moment.
The day of the show.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And Asuka had a bunch of fake Asukas with her. It was like the Eminem VMAs thing. They did it with John Cena one time too, where there was like an army of John Cena's. I only know who two of them were.
They were all independent stars.
I know
people who were there for the weekend for the independent shows.
I know Viperous was one of them, and I know Kayla Sparks was one of them. That's all I know.
Yeah, because they posted on Instagram that they
they kind of outed themselves like Salaruka did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of like when you look back at 30, and Triple H has the women with him when he comes out in the throne, and it's Alexa Bliss, it's Charlotte Flair, and it's Sasha Banks are his like women that are like kind of just his arm candy that night.
Yep.
And so, Bianca Belair gets the win. It's funny. I thought, Asuka's probably going to win coming up. I didn't realize Bianca was from LA because I know she went to University of Tennessee. I thought she was like Southern. But no, like once they were like, it's the hometown hero. And, you bring out the kids and just the representation that Bianca Belair has for a lot of girls who never had a role model like that in women's wrestling in WWE. Because Miss Jackie was always a heel. Jazz was usually a heel. Ember Moon never got a push.
Jazz was the only woman who went into Mania and defended and won a title as a black female wrestler until Bianca Belair did at that show.
There you go. And Bianca Belair with a third straight WrestleMania where she either wins or retains a women's title. Won the SmackDown women's title at 37, won the women's title from Becky at 38 in a great match, and has another really good match here and gets the better of Asuka.
Yeah, great match. I don't think it was still Rhea and Charlotte, but it was a really
Rhea and Charlotte. Like last year, I thought Bianca and Becky was a little better than Rhea and Ronda. This year, I think Rhea and Charlotte were a little bit better than Bianca and Asuka.
Either match, if you put it on a card, are not going to be bad matches.
No, all of them. All 4 of those matches are good.
Yeah.
So at this point, I was thinking, they're going to really have to fall on their face at the end here for this to not be an all-time great WrestleMania. I do not think this was an all-time great WrestleMania. I think it was a very good WrestleMania, but the rest of this show happened.
When things can go wrong, they can go wrong.
Oh, yeah. So it starts with Snoop and The Miz again, and we're already laughing. I
want a preference. I never wish injury on anybody.
But if you were to wish injury on somebody,
greatest.
If you were to pick one person to wish injury, well, it'd probably be Goldberg. But you and Bret Hart would probably wish injury on Goldberg. Actually, it might be Bret Hart.
When he came out, all right. So Miz is gonna have another match. And he's going to bring somebody out. And everyone's like, it could literally be anybody. You can't ruin this spot.
It could be LA Knight. It could be Bobby Lashley. It could be it could be Matt Cardona.
Yeah, it could be The Fiend, and I wouldn't care.
But no.
Here comes the money.
Here comes the damn money.
And he comes hard. He comes down to the ring. He's dancing.
He's blown up
and he's hammered. And the second he literally calls for the mic, and you can tell it wasn't a spot he was supposed to call for the mic. And he gets on and he's crying and says, "You have no idea how much this means to me, because my dad's back there and he fired me a couple months ago. And I thought I was never going to be here. You guys showed that you loved me." And I knew for a second, as soon as he hit the curtain back again, he was going to be like, "Dad, they still love me. I want to be involved in the title picture." And I want to ruin someone's strong push. And his dad would have said, "Oh, God damn it. Okay." And then we were blessed by whatever deity in wrestling.
First of all, if there was ever any doubt that Vince McMahon was the person driving the ship creatively in WWE, it was erased the minute you heard the words, "Here comes the money." Because there is no way. And we've made fun of Triple H. He's made some mistakes too, in all seriousness. But he would have never, ever brought Shane McMahon back on his own volition. Not in a million years. Look, if you don't know why, just watch the show Succession on HBO. You'll see why. Very, very strong parallels with WWE. Very strong parallels. So Shane McMahon backs Edge in the corner. He's been gone for a year and a half, and he has not worked on his punches one bit. They still look awful. I can do this, and I'm as closer to hitting Crispy than Shane McMahon is to hitting
Edge in the corner.
Yeah, I'm closer to hitting Crispy right now than Shane was to hitting The Miz. And then we do the Irish whip, leapfrog, get it again, but we don't get it again because
he jumps over him, and I thought his ankle shattered. I thought it was an ankle.
Leapfrog crunch.
They're saying quad. Which, goddamn.
The official injury of the McMahon family, and Triple H too. Triple H married him, but he's done it twice.
If you're gonna be a McMahon, and there's one thing you want to fuck up in a ring, you don't want it to be your quad. And I think he wished he would have broke his ankle because he tore his quad in front of a live crowd.
And he's just laying there like he can't do anything.
He tried to stand up,
and
it just tears off the bone.
And that's where it looks like he rolls his ankle when he goes to stand up, but I don't think he did. And you would think, okay, well, The Miz just pins him. Well, no, that's Shane McMahon. We can't have that. The Miz can't pin him. What are you talking about? So I never thought I would say this, but Snoop Dogg called an audible. He is a football coach. So
if you look, they're showing footage now. The cameraman is literally going, "Punch him, punch him." So they got the headsets, but listen,
they got
regardless of someone fed it to Snoop or not, he handled it like a true perfect. He improv. It was good.
The funniest thing in the history of professional wrestling is now watching Snoop Dogg hit the ropes. Because, and I am not ever going to pretend to be a wrestler. But Crispy, you can back this up. When they tell you to hit the ropes in wrestling, did they tell you to hit them as daintily and lightly as possible? No. Is that how they train you to hit the ropes in professional wrestling?
No, not in the slightest.
The ropes are thicker than Snoop Dogg.
No, they tell you to hit the ropes as hard as you possibly can. That's why people who train wrestling have rope burn. That's why people who wrestle have rope burn, because you're supposed to hit the ropes angry. Yeah. Snoop Dogg acted like little 110-pound Snoop Dogg was going to snap the ropes if he didn't lightly back into them.
Yeah. So your two-time Grand Slam WWE holder has now took a loss to Snoop Dogg and a commentator in one WrestleMania.
It is in Wikipedia. Snoop Dogg defeated The Miz by pinfall. That is Wikipedia official.
Dude, if Shane McMahon, Miz hates him. He has to. He's like, you son of a bitch. I have a loss to Snoop Dogg, you scumbag.
Snoop Dogg has a better winning percentage at WrestleMania than The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Than anybody, really. He's undefeated. Him and Michael Cole.
What the fuck? Shane McMahon tears a quad.
Maybe this was an all-time great WrestleMania. Maybe I'm wrong.
Honestly, one of the greatest spots to happen in WrestleMania. I'm glad I was there to watch it live.
Like, if you think back to what are people going to remember this WrestleMania for? Is it going to be, it was the last WrestleMania before the sale? Was it when Kevin and Sammy won the tag titles? Or is it going to be when Snoop Dogg beat the Miz?
And Shane McMahon laying there with a torn quad?
Is it going to be Snoopomania?
I will say, it wasn't a bad people's elbow.
Besides hitting the ropes like that, no. Yeah.
Besides hitting the ropes, it wasn't a bad elbow.
That's crazy.
I might have watched him hitting the ropes for a damn hour. It's so dainty. It's like you were leaning up against. Imagine like you had wallpapered over a hole in your wall, and you wanted to lean against the wallpaper so you don't break it. That's how you would do it. You would do it like Snoop Dogg hit the ropes.
Oh man, so good, so fucking good.
All right, so we got 2 matches left. Unfortunately, that should have been the main event of WrestleMania: Snoop Dogg and The Miz.
Well, good thing that major injuries are out the way.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call this one a major injury.
Well, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, so we then have Brood Edge, not Edge, but Brood Edge. We know that's his name because it's literally said it on the Titantron, Brood Edge. He doesn't have Gangrel Christian with him as rumored. He doesn't have the Brood music.
It's on his jacket, so that was.
Oh yeah, they were there in spirit and jacket. Yeah. And then we don't get the cool Brood music. We get Slayer instead, which is cool too, I guess. Against the Demon Finn Balor. And this was going to be a good match. They were going well. I think it was very silly that they had color-coded weapons. Like Edge had his red weapons and Finn had the purple weapons. It's like, what is Edge like? Is Edge the Green Lantern? And his weakness and Finn's weakness is purple? Oh no. Because Finn always, like, Judgment Day's color is purple. Maybe Edge is the Green Lantern and his weakness is purple and not green, so Finn has to hit him with purple weapons.
Yeah.
Like there's purple tables, purple kendo sticks, a purple chair, a red ladder, but it didn't start as...
I gotta say, too, the Demon, not my favorite face paint of the Demon so far. I thought it was super generic. Like, usually he does something special for each city, and it was just the Demon with purple highlights.
Yeah. And also I thought, it's a Demon, he's going to win. Is the other thing I thought. This is another
match I felt Edge did not need to walk out with it as a victor.
Agreed, because this is true. R.I.P. Demon Finn. And not a great WrestleMania besides Mommy for the Judgment Day.
So during this, Finn takes a shot.
I was making a joke, but you kind of missed it. I said there was a red ladder, but it didn't start that way.
Oh yeah. Finn gets hit with a ladder. Immediately, I notice there's blood everywhere, a lot of blood, and I go, he's opened up bad because he rolls to the outside. A doctor gets in the cage, and Edge is just like playing with weapons because he doesn't know what to do in this spot. Now,
they had to staple his head shut.
Yeah.
Yes. So I thought two things were going to happen here. I thought they were going to either call it, which would have been the death of the Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, for sure.
Or I thought they were going to. So they have this new shit now they use in the military that if you have like a gunshot wound or a really deep wound, they essentially hit you with this gel that just foams up and cauterizes your wound or fixes your wound until they can get you to a hospital. So I was like, maybe they're going to use something like that. No, they rolled out, hit him with injections that essentially stop your bleeding, like if during like a surgery, and stapled his head mid-match.
It's pro wrestling. We're low tech in pro wrestling.
Crazy.
So crazy glue his cuts together.
Or just tie his arms shut when his biceps falling out.
Or get dropped on his head by Chris Benoit and literally have to run out of the ring holding his neck in place.
Yeah. So I'm going to put a photo up. If you are squeamish, look away. We're giving you 5 seconds here.
Is it a photo of Shane McMahon?
Yeah, it is literally Finn Balor's head vagina. So this is his head when he came in to the locker room. That's the staple job they did to close him up, and then they took the staples out so they can properly do it, and that is what it looked like. We've watched a lot of UFC. That's a big cut.
Yeah, I think the worst cut I've ever seen in UFC, and this was like early on in the Zuffa run, Robbie Lawler fought this guy Marvin Eastman, and you could almost see Marvin Eastman's skull. Like
who's the one that had you could literally put 4 fingers in their forehead because he took a shin bone to it?
Was that
Diego Sanchez?
It may have been.
That was a bad one. Yeah. So Finn essentially is cut from here to the back of his head. It's huge. They didn't stop the match. They are now they finally clear him. Finn, they're working a mile a minute because they're trying to make up time.
Yeah.
And then
I think they did send it home early too.
Yeah, they definitely did. And Finn's punching himself in the head. He wanted to open it up. He's a psycho.
Don't do that, people. No, don't do that. Bad. You never do that.
Especially when you're using my equipment. Don't fucking do that.
Especially when it's gonna get on my face. He's like, oh, my microphone. It was on my face, okay?
If you know, you don't know. So that match happened. Finn loses. I question the finish there, but
I would have had Finn win here. I feel like besides very small parts, besides like Gunther, I guess you could say Rhea, even though Rhea's kind of a baby face. This should have been the writing on the wall. The heels are losing a lot, and usually that happens. Like I always think of the first card Hulk Hogan was on in WCW. Bash at the Beach '94. He was the only babyface that won that night. Yeah. If it's not a good balance, if there's a lot of heels winning on your undercard, that probably means the babyface is winning the main event. Just so it means more because people are kind of down, like, oh, my favorites are losing. If a lot of baby faces are winning on your undercard, flip it.
Yep.
All right. Here we go.
Are you ready? Listen, there's more than one family, royal family in professional wrestling. Finish the story. I'm doing this for my father.
But somebody told me the story never finishes. Which one is it, WWE?
Yeah, all the monikers that dude, the Cody countdown clock. Everything that you think that, boy, we are going to strap the rocket on this guy.
Yep.
And we are going to push him to the moon.
Uh-huh.
Maybe, just maybe, does the guy who leaves and starts the rival company, insults the company every single week on an internet TV show, and every chance he gets to have a microphone, smashes a guy's throne, and they're like, we're going to put you in WrestleMania, kid. You're our guy.
Luckily, the McMahons and Triple H are not petty people. Thankfully.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
I said a long time ago, I said, bro, it looks weird if Cody's the guy that comes and defeats a guy after that long of a streak because he's an outsider. You know what I mean? Like, yes,
you were thinking like the McMahons think, which is smart.
No, I was thinking like because McMahons are never going to put somebody over their homebred talent like that. And I was like,
started there and was like, okay, maybe. And this is me rationalizing in retrospect, but He started there, and he came back. He made something of himself, and now he's the hometown hero.
There's a lot of speculation.
Nothing. Just burying a guy that came back. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah. Interesting here.
I have dubbed this week. I have dubbed this week between the Mark Briscoe match, between a few other things on Dynamite. This is until FTR won the tag titles. This was National Castrate Your Baby Faces week.
Well, what do you mean with the Mark Briscoe? He won.
No, he lost. Samoa Joe beat him. Title. No.
Oh my
God.
God.
Joe beat him. Look, wow. Mark Briscoe got beat. Brody Lee's son's favorite wrestler got beat in front of him. It was the Make-A-Wish kid's favorite wrestler got beat in front of him. It was a bad time. It was a bad time. It was a bad time.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
If you're a baby face on a show this weekend, run. Don't show up. I can't make it, brother.
Yeah.
Flat tire.
Wait, this was last weekend? No, we're talking about the Royal Rumble review show. So connecting people through wrestling was at the arena. If you ever see that orange little frame that's always held up in the crowd,
okay,
that's that guy. Yeah, he's
very
a really cool dude. Yeah, but yeah, so Roman, no matter what happens, he goes over on Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, and
there you go.
And the place is stunned. Now Monday Night Raw after, everyone was like, "Oh, we knew it. We the ones." I was like, "No, you didn't." Everyone and their brother.
I'm like, oh, this is going to be a dusty finish.
That's what I said. I was like, it's a dusty finish.
To the point they're playing the wrap up song. I'm like, they're going to break into this thing. This is going to be a dusty finish. I'm like, nope, no dusty finish. Wow. There will be no joy in Mudville. And that's insane. Fine. It's not the.
Real quick, connecting people through wrestling. You were there that night. What was the environment of the arena? Oh, yeah. Because did the sales go out, or did people immediately like, we knew it, we the ones? Because I swear, I would consider myself a pretty smart wrestling fan. I did not see that coming.
I thought Cody was winning, hands down.
Yeah, I would have bet my life Cody won that match.
You would think when push comes to shove in a match that big, WWE would do the thing that makes sense. And I'm gonna be on that hill. I'll die on that hill. Because
it doesn't like I get you won 1,000 days, cool, but like it's getting to the point where I think you're fan Roman's not getting booed because he's a heel anymore. He's getting booed because people are getting stale with it. His section cheered. There you go.
Yeah, you'll always have like a cross section.
And I'm a fan of what the Bloodline's been doing. I mean, I like.
There are people now that like cheering the heels too. And here, yeah, the Bloodline's great. Roman's great. Heyman's amazing. The Usos are incredible. Solo's coming into his role. I think it's going to be a challenge. If they want to stretch this definitely if they want to stretch this to Mania, even if they want to stretch this to SummerSlam, it's going to be a challenge because I think you're really, if your plan is to do that, you are really discounting how much of the Bloodline being able to stay relevant as long as it was is because of Sami Zayn, and he's not there now.
Yep.
Sami Zayn,
they're gonna have to get real creative right now.
Sami Zayn extended the life of that angle so much.
So here's the question: if it wasn't Drew at Clash, and it's not Cody at Mania, who is it?
It could be Cody at Mania next year. It could be Cody at SummerSlam. I doubt it's going to be like a Braun Breaker and NXT guy. There's nobody else really on the come up that much. Austin Theory, is anyone going to be enthused on that? Cody for Money in the Bank. Here's what I would think of doing. I don't think this is what they're going to do. Because I want to avoid going off on a big rant here, but and people are going to disagree because I know immediately WWE went in the spin mode on this is just the beginning of the story. Our story never ends. You can't really say This is over. Our stories are never over. And go ahead if you have any thoughts, because this is gonna be a bit of a rant.
Finish.
Yeah.
And one of the things that kind of got me through the week is I'm trying to think of a word to use, because the word I want to use is not what I'm going to say on this show or on the internet. It's not a slur, but it's a word I really don't want to use. But there have been people who have been very very full of themselves. We'll say full of themselves. Well, you see, in wrestling, sometimes the babyface has to lose so we can build something called heat for what we do in a rematch. And you don't understand this, but I do. And sometimes the babyface must lose to build drama and to build strength for the heel. And I'm very smart and I understand wrestling.
It was already all there.
Yeah. Yeah, Roman Reigns can't get any more over the already is, and he wouldn't have been any less over by losing that match.
Yeah, it literally did nothing to progress anything.
Here we go. Gavin has his thoughts. Gavin said Roman will go over, Uso over Roman, and then Cody over Jay. Some of you, Gavin included, aren't old enough to remember the Lex Express, and it shows.
I do like this one though. Here's a guy. No matter if he lost 100 matches in a row or if he wins 6, he's always someone that you can have him in there.
Yeah, but he'll never be, because of all, and a lot of it has to do with how much he's lost, how much they've been inconsistent with his character. Seth will never be, he will never be John Cena. He will never be Hulk Hogan. He will never be Steve Austin. He will never be The Rock.
Yeah.
Because of how wishy-washy they've been. Well, first of all, and I love Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is an incredible wrestler and my favorite people in WWE. He's just not that guy. He's not that charismatic. He can't connect with the crowd that much. He can have amazing matches. He's a better wrestler than The Rock. He's a better wrestler than Hulk Hogan. He's a better wrestler, in my opinion, than Cody Rhodes. But Cody Rhodes has that something. He has that spark, that ability to connect, that ability to talk. He's the son of the greatest babyface that ever lived, and the apple didn't fall too far from that tree. And so the thing with Cody is WWE will be fine. Like, people are like, oh, WWE's ruined. They're going to lose so many fans. No, they're not. They're going to be fine. People will still watch.
It is very lazy. Then the night after, they're essentially rewashing the John Cena story.
Yeah. But what you have done, and I firmly believe this, and people are going to say, no, you're wrong. You don't understand booking. Yes, I do. You have, what have you ever booked? Nothing, but I still understand it. I understand storytelling. What you have done here is you have put a ceiling on Cody Rhodes that is much lower than the ceiling was a week ago. Cody Rhodes' ceiling now, it used to be, okay, maybe this guy could be your... And he wasn't going to be as big as John Cena. He wasn't going to be as big as Hogan. He wasn't going to be as big as Austin or The Rock.
I think he could have.
So do I, but I don't want to say that because it sounds odd now.
I think he goes over at Mania. He's your next John Cena. He's your Make-A-Wish. He's all of that.
Yeah. But now
him losing at Mania definitely that caps him.
Even if he wins at SummerSlam, even if he wins at Mania next year, his ceiling is now Seth Rollins. His ceiling is now Bobby Lashley. Mm-hmm. He's a better talker than those guys. I think he's a better wrestler than Bobby Lashley, personally. He's right around Seth's level. Different types of wrestlers. But that's his ceiling now because you killed him. You only had that first chance to really make a guy the guy. If the Iron Sheik would have beaten Hulk Hogan and then Hulk Hogan wins the rematch, maybe it doesn't go the way it did.
Yeah.
If Shawn Michaels, if the Undertaker wasn't out back taping up his fist and Shawn Michaels said, "Oh, this doesn't work for me," and Vince was like, "Okay, Shawn, he can beat you at SummerSlam," maybe it doesn't go over the way it did. John Cena,
a big win at Mania when the timing and everything in the story is perfect, skyrockets a career.
Because it did make me think of the Lex Express thing. It made me think of how everything was right for Lex Luger to beat Yokozuna at that SummerSlam. They do the Lex Express thing. He's the new big baby face. He's your Hulk Hogan surrogate because Hulk Hogan's not coming back. And they have him win by count out. And they stretch it all the way to WrestleMania. And by that point, the air was out of the balloon. You have to time these things right. And it makes me think of one of the greatest wrestling minds of all time, one of the greatest bookers of all time, maybe the greatest booker of all time. Giant Baba. who was the founder and for many years the creative force behind All Japan Wrestling. And Giant Baba and Japanese wrestling and American wrestling are so different that it's sometimes hard to compare because it is all match driven. It's not really that storyline driven. They don't have crazy angles like we do. But what Giant Baba would do to really make sure he had the pulse of his audience is when everything would start, before the shows would start, Giant Baba wouldn't be in the back and everything going. He had lieutenants to do that. Giant Baba would be in the concourse. He would be watching people come in. He'd be watching the merch stand. He'd be watching all these things. And there's a very famous story in the early 90s where they're doing a big Triple Crown title match with Jumbo Tsuruta and Mitsuharu Misawa. And the plan was the opposite of this. The plan was Tsuruta's going to win the night. Tsuruta's the established star. He's been one of the biggest stars in Japanese wrestling for almost a decade. Tsuruta was going to win here. And then Misawa was going to conquer him in maybe 6 months to a year. And Baba was great at reading the room. He felt the energy. He felt what was going on there. And immediately he goes to the back and says, nope, Misawa's winning tonight. And Mitsuharu Misawa became the leader, the face of All Japan Wrestling for the next 10 years until Baba died.
You literally had lightning in a bottle here. And you almost lost it by the Sammy story. People were at one point in time were like, F Cody, we want Sammy.
Well, the fact that the crowd didn't turn on Cody should tell you everything you need to know.
Yes,
because that should have been your big indicator. Like, no, this is the guy. Yeah. This is it. Like
the fact that you saved it after Backlash and you didn't wipe out. Like you took a hairpin turn at 180 miles an hour and didn't hit the wall with the Sami Zayn spot and still saved it by saying Sammy and Kevin are going for tag teams and Cody's going for the world title. And people said, you know what? We'll accept that because we know we're getting Cody at Mania, and still said, fuck you.
And it's like, oh yeah, well, they're angry. They're going to eventually you anger them so much. I'm thinking back to these people who are very full of themselves and their thoughts on the way wrestling booking should be done. I'm going to say that in a very nice way. I'm not going to say what I want to say.
Dude, most of these people that are saying this are legit bookers, and they kill it every weekend.
They're legit bookers that are wrong. But they're very sure of themselves. They're very confident in what their thoughts are for sure, and they're very eager to look down at people who aren't. But the other thing it makes me think of is, see, I lost it that quick. I was going somewhere, and then I got all angry. Oh, okay, I know where I was going. One of the great territories of the territory years was big time wrestling in Detroit, which is funny. That's where SummerSlam is going to be. It was big time wrestling was a super hot territory. It was a wild territory because the guy who owned the territory, the guy who ran everything and was the number one heel, was the original Sheik, Sabu's uncle, trained Rob Van Dam. One of the and he doesn't get the recognition he deserves now. One of the greatest heels in the history of professional wrestling is the original Sheik.
Yeah, and
he was a heel that led a territory forever. And the problem was he was pretty good early on. Where, excuse me, his biggest foil, his biggest competitor was Bobo Brazil, and sometimes he would trade a title with Bobo, but eventually it's like, I'm just going to win out everything. I'm going to beat everybody. And he did. He beat everybody until finally they get to the Sheik against Andre the Giant. The Giant's coming in. This is at the point where Andre the Giant comes in and the Sheik's going to get it now because nobody beats Andre until the Sheik beat Andre. Somebody beat Andre. He slammed Andre. He beat him 1, 2, 3, clean as a sheet. And the Detroit territory died. After that. It didn't last much longer because nobody believed that the Sheik was ever going to lose. And once people no longer believe the heel is going to get their comeuppance, once people stop believing that this is going to change, and it doesn't take long anymore. It's only been 2 years. 2 years used to be a regular title reign. Not anymore. If you did Bruno Sammartino now, people get sick of it. You can't do a 7-year title reign. Yeah. You can't do a Hogan title reign. You can't do a 4-year title reign. People get sick of it. Short attention spans now. They're running
you have to be careful just pushing one guy for 4 years, because you turn into the fans going, we want something more than Hogan, we want something more than John Cena, we want something more than Roman Reigns.
And realistically, Roman Reigns, if you go back to 31, Roman Reigns has been the focal point of WWE and WWE's booking.
6 years.
It's been 8 since WrestleMania 31. You had the layoff where he had, unfortunately, had the layoff where he had leukemia. You've had things were like, okay, let's cool him off a little bit. But no, he's been the centerpiece of WWE's booking for 8 years now. And it was time, it felt like it was the right time to maybe change it up a little bit. That doesn't mean Roman's going to be nothing. Yeah. Roman's not going to lose the title to Cody and then be losing the Ricochet in a week or to Mansoor. No, he's going to be in the mix. And he can keep his lighter schedule. He can be an attraction. He can be a John Cena. He can be a Brock. And he can win the title back eventually. It's Roman. He can do that babyface turn eventually. Yep. But yeah, and they'll be fine. It's not the worst booking decision they've ever made in their main event of WrestleMania. It's close. Yeah. It's very close, but it's not the worst. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, eventually I think we still might get the Cody spot, but it just
you will. It's not going to mean as much though. It'll never mean as much.
I say people are not going to be as invested in it as they were during this Mania. Like his momentum.
That was the time.
His momentum was essentially killed during this Mania. Yeah. And now Roman's possibly going to hold it up into the next pay-per-view or even to WrestleMania of next year, and we're going to see a Cody Roman again, and people are just going to be like, "Oh, Cody won." All right. I mean, of course people are going to be excited, but like it's going to be like, "Oh, we've already seen this happen. We've seen this storyline 1,000 times already."
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting. And honestly, it's not really doing favors for WWE with the sale. And then the sale happens, and then Vince is essentially, I'm not in charge. Yes, I am.
Well, look, the world needed to finally see Vince's mustache, so it's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth it.
But essentially, everyone still had a held hope, like, oh, Triple H is going to be the guy going forward. And even the press conference said Triple H is the guy going forward. And then it's just like, oh, no, Vince is in charge of Raw. Raw fell. Vince is in charge of SmackDown tomorrow, and everyone's just like, do we invest in this? Is this what we want to do anymore as wrestling fans? Or do we want, like, Raw and WWE as a product was very hard to watch for a good 2.5 years. It was hard. It was not enjoyable. Raws were almost unbearable. And that last Raw after Mania felt like one of those Raws. And wrestling fans were just like we're kind of sitting here going, like, Triple H's run wasn't perfect, but it was better than the dog shit we were fed for 2 years.
Yeah.
And now even some talent are kind of fed up with all this, with the way the booking is going.
You know, rumors are Bailey's putting out goodbye tweets.
Well, she didn't put a tweet out, but they've always been.
Yeah, supposedly Shinsuke's talking about, should I go back to Japan? Charlotte Flair's asking for her release. Asuka's saying about going back to Japan. People are just like if I'm sitting in the locker room now and I'm a Gargano and I'm a Bray Wyatt and I'm a Braun Strowman and I'm all those people who are budget cuts, I'm sitting here going, I might not have a job in a couple weeks.
Yep. Well, especially because usually whenever you have a big merger like they're doing now with Endeavor and WWE, and it's like everybody's talking about, the purchase price and everything. It's a stock. It's a full stock. It's a full stock merger. Like, they're not paying a dime for it. In fact, I forget the name of what they're doing, but it's just one of these, one of the many. There's a lot of these out there. These loopholes that make sure that giant corporations and billionaires never have to pay taxes. They're doing one of those to basically finance WWE's purchase.
Wait, I thought we don't like socialism.
No. Socialism for corporations, not for people.
Oh, okay. Not for working class. But socialism for capitalism, for top tier is fine.
Okay. Making sure for multi-billion-dollar corporations, you get all the socialism you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole idea is that it's going to be a new company. That they said Nuco in the tweets. That's just a placeholder name. It's not going to be called Nuco. But basically, Endeavor, they already own UFC, but they're going to spin off UFC and WWE into a new company that's going to be together. And the shares in this company is going to be publicly traded. It's going to be 51% Endeavor, and it's going to be 49% WWE. So basically, the WWE shareholders will have stake in this new company that's going to also own UFC. And the board is going to be 6 seats on the board are going to be Endeavor people, and 5 are going to be WWE people. Vince McMahon is the executive chairman, but Ari Emanuel is the CEO. Dana White remains president of UFC. So the funniest thing about this is technically Vince McMahon will be Dana White's boss. That's pretty funny. That's pretty hilarious. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
Isn't Endeavor putting their name in the hat for Washington as well?
Were they? I heard Josh Harris. I didn't know about Endeavor. They can't afford it at this point.
Yeah.
One of the big things about this deal is they did not want to do a deal that's going to make them take on debt, because they're still paying off that $5 billion they bought UFC for.
Now, I don't want to get too into the weeds, Vince, with this, but does this change how we consume pro wrestling in maybe in 2 or 3 years when the deals come up?
That remains to be seen. I know. Here we go. Everett Lee, $79.99 WWE pay-per-view add-ons coming. Look out. If they do that, they're not going to do well. Maybe WrestleMania. WrestleMania you could sell for $70. If you like $70 for both nights, WrestleMania maybe. You might get people to pay like $50-$60 for the Rumble.
They love their buy rates.
SummerSlam. But that was already UFC's business model when Endeavor bought it. WWE hasn't had that business model in almost 10 years now. By the time the Peacock deal ends, WWE will have not had that pay-per-view business model for 12 years. Yeah. And you're going to now expect people who are used to getting WWE for $10 a month, and maybe now $10 a month with other stuff on Peacock. If you want to, if you think they're going to be okay with now paying $80 for maybe WrestleMania, but who's going to pay $80 for Backlash?
Yeah. Well, is it the flip side? Do you think they look at a business model and say WWE is making more money selling a subscription service where the fans get more content, and maybe UFC jumps in the model where it says, hey, if you, and then they, like, you know what I mean? Maybe we buy one, like where they say, here's a UFC WWE app, and you get both in one for a $20 rate, and now pay-per-views and UFC pay-per-views under that subscription or a thing.
It's going to depend on how they want to approach it, because it's dependent on how their content partners have wanted it.
I'm not gonna lie. A network where old UFC content and old WWE content are all in one place, that's kind of appealing to me.
That's a good deal, yeah. It's going to depend, because right now for both UFC and WWE, the business move has been, we're not going to really try to do this on our own, whether it's selling pay-per-views, whether it's a WWE network, which is a standalone streaming service. They both got into the mindset of, we are going to sell our product to content providers. So the decision on the pricing of the UFC pay-per-views right now is not Endeavor's, it's Disney's, because UFC sold their entire package, the pay-per-views, the TV, it was all sold to Disney, to ESPN and ESPN Plus specifically, but that's Disney, and Disney decided what to do with it. Same thing. Nick Khan has said, we're open to a pay-per-view model if it's what our content providers want. Peacock didn't want to do that. Peacock wanted to, or Comcast, NBC Universal, they wanted to do what they're doing. They wanted to just have extra content for their streaming service because they're trying to attract customers. Mm-hmm. Peacock was very fledgling at that point. It still is. It was part of that arms race of content. If WWE, instead of going to Peacock, if they would have gone to ESPN Plus, maybe it would have been something completely different.
Peacock for me at first was a good sale, because I'm like, oh, I can go watch all these good TV shows and watch.
I don't pay for Peacock, so it's a very good sale for me. I'm gonna have to pay for it.
And now I'm kind of like, you know what? I don't really think I need all this extra TV. If I can get UFC and UFC and WWE all in one place, or even like ESPN Plus where it's all one thing, mm-hmm. I think I'd be into that more, where it's a complete sports package and I don't have to worry about like what's the new reality show that I have to scroll through to find my WWE.
You need to watch Poker Face, because there's some other good stuff on Peacock. Yeah. But there is it's really going to depend on where they can get the most money when the Peacock deal ends. If they feel like they can generate the most revenue by doing their own thing, they might want to do that. If they feel like they're going to generate the most revenue by selling it to a streamer, they're going to do that. It depends on, maybe it's going to be a thing like Sunday Ticket now. Sunday Ticket is the big thing in sports media this year, because for the first time ever, it's off of DirecTV. Yeah. It's going to be part of YouTube TV, and it's going to be an extras fee. You're not going to just get it as part of your base package. I wish you did. I have YouTube TV. But Yeah, it's exclusive to YouTube TV now. If you want Sunday Ticket, you have to subscribe to YouTube.
I wish
TV.
I could just pay for the one team I want to watch. I don't.
Me
care
too. Yeah, that's why it doesn't really matter to me now because I'm an Eagles fan and Eagles games are on.
But you're not even guaranteed to see Eagles games sometimes.
If you have some, yeah, but you get most of them. I can deal with the 2 times. There's going to be another rant. You thought my rant about the Roman Reigns people was bad. Don't get me started on the Scranton TV station showing Steelers games. I have a list. Of NFL teams that are closer to Scranton, Pennsylvania than Pittsburgh. It's a pretty long list. Washington's one of them. Baltimore, the Giants, the Jets, the Eagles, the Bills. 6 teams. 6 teams. And they show the Steelers.
Yeah.
Bullshit. And they're not even good. They're the Steelers. They used to be good. That's why everybody likes them. They used to be good.
Yeah. But yeah, so it is a lot going on. Like I said, Raw after Mania, not the greatest. We'll find out how it goes after that. But what do you guys want to do? I think I'm Mania'd out. Let's take a little break from Mania. I know we want to do tier list of Mania. I don't think I could do another week.
That might be a good thing to do down the road.
Yeah.
One other thing, by the way, before we wrap up this merger stuff, here's the most interesting thing for me in the short term. Endeavor.
Who's the first crossover? Who's the first ex or current UFC star who goes?
It's gotta be Connor, right?
It's gotta be Connor. It's gotta be Connor.
Yeah. It's gotta be.
Or Daniel Cormier.
Or do they cross over the other way? Does Ronda go back to UFC?
Oh.
Does Brock go to UFC? They cross over the other way.
I don't think Brock would literally, after what he pulled at 200, where he knew he came in hot as a fucking pistol. Oh boy.
Vince Torres is in the chat, and he says no, it's going to be DC.
I think DC's another one that could.
They wanted DC as a commentator for SmackDown when it first started on Fox, so it's possible.
If Ronda remembers she's not a stand-up striker and she closes the distance and takes you down, even Ronda out of the game would still fucking break most of those girls apart.
The idea of Ronda getting killed would sell pay-per-views, though. I just say, like, take the heels that everybody hates and throw them in UFC. Like that could be your angle. Oh, Dominic Mysterio, you think you're good? You got to play John Jones now. What are you going to do now?
Or you take Colby Carino and you put him in UFC, or you put him in WWE.
So
we don't want to get involved with politics, and Colby comes in with his hat. Colby's the best. He'd be the greatest.
Oh, Colby Covington. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, not Colby Carino.
Colby Carino. What?
I'm thinking wrestling.
I liked Colby Carino.
Yeah, no, Colby Covington.
He's going to be in WWE if he's not already. Here's the thing I'm thinking of business wise. Endeavor got a $400 million investment a few years ago from the Saudi Development Fund or the Saudi Investment Fund, whatever it's called. They invested in Endeavor, and then the thing happened where that journalist Jamal Khashoggi was murdered by the Saudis, and Ari Emanuel, the CEO of Endeavor, soon to be the first guy ever who can tell Vince, no, I have power over you. I can overrule you. That's the big thing here. Vince, they're going to let Vince run it. They're going to be hands off. But if they want to put their foot down and say no, Vince McMahon or Ari Emanuel will be able to tell Vince McMahon no, and Vince can't do a damn thing about it.
Yeah.
After the Khashoggi thing, Ari Emanuel said, here's your $400 million back. I don't want to do business with you. Does this change the Saudi deal? Because at that point, Ari Emanuel even had to kind of change he had bodyguards. He thought the Saudis were going to come after him. So is this kind of the beginning of the end of the Saudi deal? Is a good question.
Let's hope so.
I mean, UFC does stuff in Abu Dhabi, but that's like a not quite as oppressive as the Saudi regime. Yeah. Like what do you want? Do you want cancer? Do you want diabetes? I want diabetes, but it's not quite as bad. But yeah, so that's something interesting. Politically, because Ari Emanuel is not that he lets it affect his business, but he's like a lefty. His brother was Barack Obama's first chief of staff. Yeah. And then you have the McMahons who are buddy with the other side. So it's an interesting strange bedfellows. They say politics makes strange bedfellows. Business really makes strange bedfellows.
If you guys have any ideas in the chat while we kind of brainstorm here of maybe a future show you want us to cover or a topic you want us to cover, now's your chance to shine and let us know, and we'll add some stuff to our already growing list. But BP, what do you have in mind? What do you think time-wise? Do you think something that you can pull out of your magic bag? It's been a while since we've had you do a showcase of somebody. It's been a lot of show reviews.
Yeah, okay. Let me think on this a little bit. I didn't even have this in mind.
Is there someone that you've always wanted to kind of pull out that you've never really done?
I've kind of done them all.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I have a good one. I don't think we've ever done this. Maybe we have. An old favorite of mine.
We've never done Bobby.
Yeah, we did. It was the first thing I ever did on the show, I think.
For Tornado Tag.
Oh yeah, the old show. Yeah, Jay White is an AEW. He showed up on Dynamite.
Yeah, Jay White is officially all elite. Yeah.
I'll always talk about Bobby Heenan. I will never not talk about Bobby.
Yeah,
Heenan.
whatever we did on Tornado Tag, it is okay to rehash here.
Oh, then we have a million. We have Bobby Heenan. We have Vader.
Yeah.
Bobby Heenan's.
You see the new Vader figure?
I did. I'm not a toy collector. I'm trying to get rid of stuff in my house. I don't need to add more.
I'm not one either, but I'm collecting this line. I really like this line.
I already have too much stuff. I have books I haven't read yet. I have games I haven't played yet. I have movies I haven't watched yet. I have too much stuff already.
Let's go into the history of the WCW US title.
All right.
You want to do that?
That's a great looking belt too. That's a beautiful title. There we go.
I like that. I don't think that's ever been done. I don't think we've ever showcased a title.
Look at Gavin with the idea too. The tag teams from the 80s and 90s. Oh man. I could do a series on that. That was the golden era of tag team wrestling. I think that's a good 1-2 punch. The WCW US title and then some great classic tag teams.
So next week is the US title, and then after that, maybe we do a part 1, part 2 of the 80s, 90s tag team.
Yeah, we could do one. We could really do a WWF and non-WWF for tag teams. Actually, if I'm going to say, why don't we do it the other way? Why don't we do the tag teams first, and tomorrow or next week we'll do the WWE tag teams.
Okay.
Just because, we didn't mention this, and it is newsworthy. We did lose somebody in wrestling over the past week. Bushwhacker Butch.
Yeah.
Butch Miller did pass away. We talked about the Bushwhackers last week on WrestleMania 5, how fun they were. I mean, at that point, they were just kind of relaxing and just being the kid-friendly babyface tag team that didn't have to put their bodies through the hell they had put it through before. But I was a kid. I loved the Bushwhackers.
One of the Bushwhackers was already dead, right? And now this is the last.
No. Luke is still alive. Butch passed away this week.
That's right. Skyros wrestled Luke.
Did he?
Yeah.
Luke is, or at least was, I don't know if he still is, pretty tight with somebody we know a little bit, Carrie Silkin.
Yeah.
Because Luke was a little involved in Ring of Honor for a few years there. Mm-hmm. But no, Luke is a little, I think he's a bit younger than Butch was, and definitely hasn't had a lot of the same health issues that Butch did. If you have Peacock, I forget what year it was, but the year the Bushwhackers went in the Hall of Fame, and Butch was already having some issues getting around. Butch and Luke did one of the best Hall of Fame inductions ever. They are hilarious in their Hall of Fame inductions. So yeah, the Bushwhackers, and they can go on either side. They had a great run in Crockett and the territories as the sheep herders, as almost they were like a better version of the Nasty Boys, of just this team that is going to come in and be bloodthirsty, brawling all over the arena, blood and just destruction everywhere. And then they are the exact opposite in WWF, and they did both very well. So yeah, and Gavin did have some great ones there. The Samoans, the Samoan SWAT team, the Islanders. There's a million Samoan teams. The Strongbows, the Youngbloods, Jay Youngblood and Ricky Steamboat, Killer Bees, the Bulldog. Oh yeah, I'm in on that.
Rockers.
Absolutely the Rockers. I'm never going to talk bad about the Rockers.
Love the Rockers. All right, thank you guys. That was really good. Great feedback, and already look at your suggestions are future episodes. We love it.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I'm excited for these two shows now.
Yeah, 3. We got 3 shows out of
this.
Yeah,
3 of them.
Yeah. If there's any other ones that you guys want to throw in there, and maybe not so much Gavin, but if maybe the other guy, that Irish John guy, wants to join that episode and join in with us, let us know. We'll love to have you. Same with you, Scott. If you want to join us for the WCW title episode, I know Scott has it set up. We'd love to have you as well.
There's always I think that one guy. Sorry to cut you off. That you recognize as synonymous with that title. Like when I think the Eagle WWF title, that's Hulk Hogan. When I think
not me,
the real, your guy had it for like a year.
But I watched him grow and then win it, so it's always a big thing for me. Like him, I watched Hogan win it 100 fucking times. I didn't care anymore. I watched Sean beat Brett. That was a big deal as me as a kid. That's stuck in my brain.
I get that because the undisputed title they had later, even though probably Brock had that title longer than anybody, to me that's the Eddie Guerrero title, or JBL probably had it longer than anybody. That's the Eddie Guerrero title, even though he wasn't champion for long. The guy that WCW US title for me, that's the Lex Luger title.
Okay, I don't know much about that title. I'm gonna be honest. It's gonna be fun to do some homework on that.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. That has roots in Jim Crockett Promotions as being like the main title for that. While you still have the traveling NWA champion, their main champion was the United States champion.
Yeah. Well, let's before we get out of here, let's kind of we'll get ours out of the way. Anthony Blackwell Jr. all social media, links below for merchandise, as well as ways to support the channel with Patreon, Discord, the whole nine. Like I said, right now I can't really get into what exactly it is, and I know it's kind of weird to say, hey, go buy a t-shirt to support something I can't talk about yet, but I do have something coming up that any extra funds that the t-shirts funds can do, or Patreon funds can help out with. You can do as little as $1 a month. If we have 15 people do $1 and I get $15 a month just to bank away, that'd be dope. I hate asking for money or anything like that, but this is a pretty cool event for me coming up, and anything would help. But yeah, support t-shirts, the whole thing's out there. That's all I got. BP?
Murder, my dude. We don't have a new episode this week, but last week we had the spring break episode, which takes a turn.
Listen to that.
There's a little bit of Satanism in there, a little bit of black magic and things like that. I'm sure Crispy's going to plug a really cool show tomorrow. So I'm going to plug one too. I will actually be at PPW tomorrow. For Glory Days. Brian Kendrick coming back. Moose will be coming back. Somebody that was factored into spring break very heavily, or GCW's collective very heavily, Steph DeLander. She's been side by side with Matt Cardona quite a bit. She will be there. I think the only thing I have to say to sell this show is Facade versus Brian Kendrick. I think that'll pretty much sell it right there.
Yeah. And if anyone's looking to get some commentary reps, come hang out at the Sanctuary. I need a partner that night.
Crispy,
Crispy, what do you got?
Blackwell Crispy on the mic.
Speaking of Sanctuary,
there you go.
I believe we are hosting a Proving Ground show tomorrow night around 7 o'clock.
Live on YouTube. So come into YouTube or come to the building itself.
Come to the building. That is if you have never been to the Sanctuary,
come to the building.
You do not know what you're missing. There's no place quite like it. There's no place to take in. Taking a show, taking the ambiance, the energy, the spectacle. It is a fun place to be. What is it? 172?
172. Yeah, 172 North Wyoming Street.
North Wyoming Street in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, right by the football field. It's if you are anywhere in the Northeast Pennsylvania area and you haven't been to the Sanctuary, you owe it to yourself to be there.
Yeah, live streams are good and all to support Sanctuary, but they don't do it justice for the place. They do not do it justice. If you have a chance, come down and watch it live. I'm telling you, it's an experience.
And then what is it? April 23rd will be the big Stampede.
April 23rd is the Stampede. So come on down for April 23rd. That's the official start of season 13 of the Sanctuary.
It says here, free photos with the Honor Society. ABJ will cover the price.
That's right. Yeah, so gracious of you.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I'll do that because nobody wants a fucking photo with you, jabroni, so I don't have to pay a dime.
$100 a photo, and ABJ's got it covered.
Nobody wants that photo.
Look,
not even Gavin. He gets photos of everybody.
Here's what I'm telling you. If you just slip the Honor Society 50 of that and get the photo. You keep 50. The Honor Society gets the other 50. Nobody's a victim here. That's what this fundraising thing is. ABJ is going to be the official photographer of the Honor Society. It's a big deal.
Find a new role for you.
All photos will be done like this.
You can do the Bobby Heenan thing. Bobby Heenan of Taurus would ask him to take his picture. He would like take a picture of their feet, or he'd make it like deliberately out of focus.
Yeah, definitely. I'll do that. Yeah, anything else you want to plug, Crispy?
It's Popolo Chris on Facebook. It's Popolo on Facebook. I do share a lot of the Sanctuary stuff, so you can see it from there. And then it's Chris Eros on Instagram. I am going to be posting a lot more photos and stuff. I think it's Chris Eros _ on Instagram. I'm going to be posting a lot more photos and stuff throughout the season of the Sanctuary. So
yeah. Well,
cool.
we loved having you hang out with us here tonight, Chris. And you could always hang out with me and Crispy, and hopefully BP one day over on that Discord.
I tried playing around with it one night, and I was like, I can't figure this out. I was like, I clicked a button. I was watching Ring of Honor. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here, and I got left, and like, what's going on?
Oh, you jumped in the Ring of Honor stream.
I guess accidentally. I didn't realize I did.
People probably didn't know who Project Humanoid was. And like, who's that? If they knew that was you, they would have popped.
Who's this jerk?
You are a sought after person in that Discord. They want you in there in the worst way.
I tried. I'm an old man. I can't figure that stuff out anymore.
We'll walk you through it. But everyone, thank you so much. Next week, we will have you want to do WCW first, or let's do WWE. Or let's do WCW, then WWE, and then WCW. Right. Yeah, we'll do it that way. So next week will be WCW tag teams from the 80s and 90s.
Well, let's go non-WWE, because I got some AWA tag teams I want to talk about.
Okay.
And if we're going into the 90s, ECW had a great tag division.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down with that. Send me some tag teams that we're going to definitely hammer harder than others, and we'll put them in the graphic.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that'll be our episode. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. The chat was popping all night tonight. A lot of people here. If you haven't hit subscribe already, please do so. Check the links below. Once again, if you're not at PPW in Broadheadsville, and if you're not there in person at the Sanctuary tomorrow, please come over and hang out the Sanctuary with us live on YouTube and hear me on commentary. I don't know.
It is the Sanctuary PA, right? Is the YouTube channel?
Sanctuary PA. All my
Sanctuary PA. All right, yep.
All my links are below, and places I work will be there. And
real quick, if we're talking non-WWE tag teams of the 80s next week, you know who we're talking about, right? Do you have a tennis racket handy?
Oh my god! Yeah,
yeah, some polyester handy.
I will. That tag team is that tag team's fine to talk about. They were very good.
That manager is very good too. Might not like him as a comment. That manager is one of the best managers that ever lived.
Jim Cornette, I respect his historian factors and everything he's done in professional wrestling. I just sometimes I don't like some of his takes.
His talent as a manager is second. I would say as a manager he's second to none. As a manager he's second to one. So yeah,
I would put him third. I'd put him third.
He's number 2 for me, but fair enough.
Paul Heyman's number 2 for me.
He's number 3.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Here's some music that we gotta eventually figure out an intro video and redo this graphic so it's not just me and BP. But was music by some Converse kid, Billy Trey. We'll see you guys next week. Interview. 2 interviews just dropped too for ABJ podcast. So go check out those 2 interviews. Next week we have on the podcast Rembrandt on Tuesday the 11th and Daniel Alexander on Thursday. 2 great interviews, so we hope to see you guys live in the chat for those 2 interviews.
And it's all leading to the big interview at the end of the month. Can't wait.
Yeah, Cosmic will be
and the other one, the big interviews. You're right. I'm not gonna no sell Cosmic. That's not happening.
Yeah.
So the big interviews, Cosmic and then
is a champion right now over at that Battle Pro.
Cosmic is a champion of life. So yeah, that makes sense.
Beat Trisha Dora for it.
Excellent.
Yeah, I did some research on that. I was actually talking. I was like, holy fuck, that's awesome! Like, super proud of her.
Good. That is somebody I root for. I am glad to hear that.
Yeah. So and then we have that Dirtbag Ricky Price. We'll see you next week. Bye.